This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I'm also here to talk about a particular topic. I'll make it fast because I have to jump into an appointment at 1:30, but I want to touch on this topic. Right after we talked about the changes that are potentially coming after October 1st, regarding regarding actions that the administration might be taking to enforce immigration laws, and that includes deportation. We also have to look at and keep in mind that when they were talking, so in the publication from this is from the White House and the Department of Homeland Security, they mentioned who they would on in regards to removal, and they mentioned that they would be focusing on individuals who did not have a legal basis to be here. And what that is telling me is that if you have not applied for any immigration relief, you can't show that you have any kind of basis at all to be here, then you could potentially face removal, especially if you are a recent arrival and you have come through the border, they've processed you. Because there are, when they've let you in, they are either looking at whether you're going to pursue, they're giving you an opportunity to pursue a path to residence here, or to apply for asylum. And this is why in some cases they do send you to immigration court. They're sending you to immigration court because they're saying this is your last ditch effort to defend yourself. It's your last ditch effort to ask for certain types of relief like asylum or withholding of removal. Withholding of removal means that maybe your life would be in danger in the country, and so you're applying for them to put any hold on any removal order, or put a hold on the order of removal to for you to stay here where you can be safe. If you are not applying for any kind of immigration relief that you qualify for, then at that point, it means that you've potentially reached the end of the road and you are vulnerable to deportation. Now, the Biden administration, along with the Department of Homeland Security, have also placed an emphasis on the expansion of the expedited removal, meaning that they will go ahead with removal efforts within 30 days. So from the time that they've honed in on you to the time that you from the country would be 30 days. All right. So you want to make sure that you are pursuing your options here. And this is what I assist my clients with. I look at their potential options, even if they are already out of status. I look at whether there are options legally for them to apply for relief. And the reason I can't, when I'm on here, I can't tell all of you at one time, go print the work permit application and apply for a work permit, because that's not how it works. I do have to evaluate whether you qualify for a type of relief, because the way you're going to get to the work permit is through certain types of benefits or relief. So you are either going to qualify through an employer, you're going to qualify through family, you're going to qualify through things that you've been through while here, which includes maybe being the victim of a crime, or maybe being the victim of labor trafficking or sex trafficking. Or if you have certain relatives who are here and they're mistreating you, that could potentially be a way for you to get status instead and be able to apply for your work permit. So it's not a situation where you're here. I can just say, oh, good, you've called me up. Now it's time to apply for your work permit. In the consultation, I ask very specific questions and I ask extensive questions to determine whether you can fall under one of the options to get your work permit. And I can't help 100% of individuals, but I know that there are many individuals who are going through certain situations that qualifies them for relief. And my goal is to get them out of the shadows so that they're able to live a life here protected and be able to get status here. So this is where it's important to give me a call, schedule an appointment so I can do that detailed evaluation and provide you with the advice you need to move forward. So that's one, right? So who can get the work permit? I just listed out those ways, but I'm gonna mention it again. Now, the work permit is different from a work visa. If you're in your country, you're going to apply for a visa to come here to work, and it has to be specific types of visas depending on what you qualify for. And the employer is going to be involved. No employer, by the way, should be telling you to come here on your visitor's visa, start working for them, and then they'll get started with the paperwork. This is where my clients do end up qualifying for T status to enable them to get the work permit, because many of my clients are told exactly that. They're told, come here on your visitor's visa. And they do it to lure them here. They said, as soon as you get here on your visitor's visa, you have to get started with your work, with working for me. And then I'll go ahead and get you that work permit. It does not work that way. And if an employer is telling you this, just to avoid any worlds of pain that could be coming for you, know that that's a scam. Know that that employer is trying to get you to work for them, and they're trying to use fraud to do it. If you've already been in a situation like that, it means that you may qualify for T status as a victim of labor trafficking through fraud. And now is a good time to apply for that relief. The others are going to be if you're applying for your green card while being here in the US. Which relatives do you have? Now, there are multiple ways to figure out if you qualify for adjustment of status. There are different, different ways to qualify, but I'm going to try to summarize this very quickly for you when it comes to family base. Now, if you are here without status already, then you have a limited options here to apply for the green card through a relative. But there's one exception here. If you're the immediate relative of a US citizen. Now, being the immediate relative of a US citizen does not mean that good, you're the relative of a US citizen, so you get to apply for adjustment of status. You have to be, and take careful note here because it does matter, you have to be the spouse of a US citizen. You have to be the son or daughter of a US citizen who is under 21. If you're 21 or over, unfortunately, you're going to have to look at a different process if you're out of status. Or you have to be the parent of a US citizen who is age 21 or older. So note that again, that US, if you're the parent of a US citizen, that US citizen has to be age 21 or older, and they have to petition for you. Now, say you're here and you may already be here on your visitor's visa. And on, there are times that I find this unfortunate thing where the son or daughter of a US citizen, they're here, they have an approved I-130, and their priority date is current, but they don't know that. They don't know anything about the priority date and all those requirements. So they end up overstaying their time. And then afterwards, they ask, can I go ahead and apply for adjustment of status? And it's like, oh my gosh, you just missed an opportunity here, because the son or daughter of a citizen or permanent resident who's unmarried, they're over 21. They're over 21, which means that they fall into a different category and they must maintain their legal status to apply for adjustment of status. to get the green card while staying here and get the work permit while you're waiting. In addition to having legal status, you have to have a current priority date, and having a current priority date and also have your approved petition. If all those conditions are not all together, all at the same time, you can't apply for adjustment of status. So the unfortunate thing that I see is that individuals end up overstaying, not realizing that they could just qualify for adjustment of status because previously they met all the criteria. So this is where it's important to make sure you at least do an evaluation to determine what your best options could be before you overstay. Because once you've overstayed and you're age 21 or older, your options become extremely limited. So those are the options in regards to adjustment of status. And then, of course, if you're the sibling of a US citizen and you have all the conditions right, your priority date is current, and you're in legal status, you haven't overstayed, then you still qualify for adjustment of status. So this is where it's important to make sure you give us a call and we can evaluate what your options are. Now, the other is it through VAWA. What if these relatives, what if you have a parent, you're under 21 or you're under 25, you have a US or legal permanent resident parent, but they're mistreating you, or you have a US citizen or permanent resident spouse, but they're mistreating you, so they have not submitted that paperwork for you. Can you apply? Do you have options? Yes, you do. You still have options through VAWA. VAWA does allow you to apply for adjustment of status to get the work permit while you wait for your card. So VAWA is to be the path for you to apply for adjustment of status that allows you to get the work permit. Now, I mentioned previously the T status. T status, I have gotten T status for individuals who have been trafficked by their own relatives, because trafficking under the law is broader than you think. A lot of us think, and before I even practiced law, when I thought about trafficking, I thought about trafficking as somebody being kidnapped and tied up somewhere, actually forced to work or forced to do sexual acts. But trafficking does not always, while believe me, that does happen, trafficking doesn't always present like that, because trafficking not only involves physical force, it doesn't require physical force, it can also involve coercion or fraud. Coercion is where they're like, if you leave, I'm going to call ICE, or they take your passport away, or they just imply, there are implied threats or things that make you afraid to stand up and leave the situation. And so this is where relatives, employers, acquaintances, people you're living with can turn out to be traffickers, because they do these kinds of things to keep you there, to keep you to do work for them, to benefit them in some way, to do certain acts. So this is where if an employer is making you feel afraid to leave, or telling you you can't leave, or not paying you so you can't leave, or they're paying you very little so you can't leave, or they're making you to work 24/7, or they are holding you, hostage by making you for immigration relief through trafficking. If you are in a situation where you are afraid to leave because maybe it could be as simple as if you left, you would be rendered homeless and this person mistreated you, knowing that you had no other choice, it could potentially qualify you for T status. So this is what you have to do is give me a call, schedule an appointment, and we can talk about your particular situation to determine whether you qualify. Now the U status is also another way. It's a longer path, but it does allow you to stay here while you get the U status. If you've been the victim of a crime, usually it requires you um, to apply for U certification from the law enforcement agency. And then we help our clients to do that if the report has not been made yet. So um, the U is one. Now, also asylum. If you're afraid to return to your home country because you have been targeted in some way in your home country, then it's worth evaluating whether you qualify for asylum. But please note, there is a deadline to apply. You have 1 year after your entry to apply for this, up to 1 year. So don't wait. Make sure you get on it right away to determine whether you could qualify for asylum. The thing with asylum is that it does allow you to apply for your work permit while they make a decision on whether you qualify for asylum. Now, they have just announced that they will be working on lengthening the time that it will take to to have the work permit to 5 years. So it's a 2 year work permit. They're looking at lengthening the time to 5 years. So that's one of the upsides here. And they have mentioned that those who are applying for these processes that I have listed out, except the T status is a 4 year work permit, but the rest of them, they will be giving 5 year work permits. And they're looking to make this change soon. They have said October 1st they're looking to make these changes. So we're going for those changes. But now is the time to evaluate whether you have a legal option to gain status here. And then as you gain that status, you're able to get the work permit. Now, I don't have much time to answer questions, but I'll choose one question to answer here. All right, so I think this is a fitting question here. I overstayed on a visitor's visa, otherwise from asylum, T visa, U visa, marriage, what's my option? This is where you need to schedule the appointment because your options are at that point, if you don't qualify for any of these, your options are going to be extremely limited. However, there are other things like deferred action where you don't actually gain a status. It does give you they give you permission to stay here. For example, if you're facing health issues, or if you've been mistreated by an employer, that could be a way to get the deferred action. If you are mistreated by an employer but not trafficked, then this could qualify you to stay here for at least 2 years. But this is where it's very important to do the consultation. You're never know what options are available to you if you don't do that consultation. So the link is in the profile with everything you need to get in touch with me. You can call the office or schedule your own appointment. And, when I've done consultations with my clients, they have been in a situation where they too did not understand what they qualified for, but they had the wisdom and know how to reach out for help from someone who understood the options. And because of that, many of my clients are now in status and thriving because of it. So, sometimes it is worth it to take the chance. Even if you feel pessimistic about your options, you will still be better for it because you'll understand, you'll know how to move forward, you'll know what what your options are going forward, and maybe what actions you need to take in order to get into status. So schedule that appointment. We can talk. Tomorrow, I'll be back at around lunchtime where we can continue our conversation here. Save your questions for tomorrow, and I will go ahead and answer those questions. So look out for me tomorrow. I usually try to get on here between 12 and 1. So look out for me joining at around that time, and then we can have a conversation. Bring your questions that you asked today tomorrow so we can talk. All right. Have a good one, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.